Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and make sure that you follow the keyonmillions.co. We have merchandise. Also have new merchandise that we just rolled out over the last couple of weeks. You already know that here's my profile so that you will know it's me. And here is my media feed for all of my different segments. I've done March Madness, I've done regular NBA commentary, and it is all here, but not just here, but it's on all of my other platforms. So go follow them and subscribe. The topic at hand for this particular show is NBA. Now, we taking a few days off from March Madness. March Madness doesn't officially pick back up until Thursday. But I am going to tell y'all about the three games that I watched last night, and they pretty much made the determining factor on the outlook on the NBA playoffs and statistics and standings. Now, first game was Los Angeles Lakers and the Detroit Pistons. Y'all know I bleed purple and gold, and I can tell y'all so much about the Lakers franchise history, how they started in Minneapolis. Then in 1962, they made the transition to LA. But I'm going to just talk about the game. Detroit Pistons, first time in about 15 years that they have made back-to-back playoff appearances. So congratulations to them. But last night I noticed something about the Detroit Pistons. Since their best player is out for the foreseeable future, most of the players last night they did it was basically scoring by committee, because we also see with the Los Angeles Lakers, we already see with LeBron James 12 points, Jake LaRivia had 7 points. DeAndre Ayton, he needs to do much better, because he's supposed to guard the paint, but he doesn't have much energy when it comes to he doesn't make the opponent think twice about going to the basket. That's what I see from him, and that's what his whole career has been like. Luka Doncic, 32 points in 39 minutes. He's been very efficient over the last 12 or so games. Austin Reeves, 24 points in 40 minutes. Then we get to the bench production for the Los Angeles Lakers. Max Kleber, 0 points. Jared Vanderbilt, 4 points. Aldo Thriero, 1 point. Jackson Hayes, 11 points. Luke Kennard, 6 points. Detroit Pistons starting five: Tobias Harris, 14 points. Duncan Robinson, 12 points. Jalen Duren, 20 points. Azur Thompson, 6 points. Dennis Jenkins, 30 points. Bench production for the Pistons: Paul Reed, 8 points. Ronald Holland II, 2 points. Javonte Green, 6 points. Carius LeVert, 8 points. And Kevin Huerter, 7 points. Now, I know that this game was close, but it really wasn't close at the end point of it, because the Detroit Pistons, they were up by 12 at one point in this game. Well, excuse me. They were up by 16 at one point in this game. And it seems like that this game was going to be a blowout. But as you can see, when it comes to these statistics, most of these statistics go in the Detroit Pistons' favor. They made more threes. They got to the free throw line less, but they were more efficient from the free throw line. Offensive rebounds in the Detroit Pistons' favor, +2. Defensive rebounds, +4 in the Lakers' favor. We get to assists, +4 in assists. Blocks, +2, and we get the turnovers. Turnovers, they were pretty much the same, but Lakers had more turnovers than the Detroit Pistons, 13-11. fast break points, plus 10 for the Lakers. So it seems like everything that was going right for the Lakers went right, but you had efficient scores last night for the Detroit Pistons. And not too many people saw the Detroit Pistons having the kind of night that they had from the three-point line. 11 of 26 from the three-point line. That is good on all levels. I mean, and 45% from the floor for the entirety of the game. That's pretty good. Lakers was 48% from the floor for the entirety of the game. So one thing that I can say about the Lakers, I'm gonna give you all the standings right here. The standings for the Western Conference is Oklahoma City 1, 2 San Antonio, and 3 Los Angeles Lakers. Now I'm gonna talk about the Spurs a little bit later on in the show, but I'm not gonna give the top of the West. I'm not gonna say that the top of the West is all set in stone yet, because there's 11 games left, was 10 to 11 games left in the regular season, and there's so much movement that could happen between the Oklahoma City Thunder and San Antonio Spurs. So one thing that I'm going to say is when it comes to the Detroit Pistons, we get to around let's get to the last minute of this game. The Lakers, they were down by 5, now down by 3. Well, this is basically last 2.5 minutes. And as you can see, it's pretty much when they got the lead right here, when they got the lead right there, I was pretty much saying you have to have somebody to guard. You have to guard without fouling. See that? And they went right back up with under 30 seconds left. And look at the defense. You got to have a hand in the player's face. And look at this right here. Bad shot. What he should have did was he shouldn't have took a one-leg step-back fadeaway. He should have went all the way to the basket. Luka Doncic should have went all the way to the basket, America, as you can see right here. See? Go all the way to the basket, and that would be a much higher percentage shot. When you have shots like this, and you have to see, there was a chance for him right there, but nobody, and I do mean nobody, was going to give him that airspace. But what I just showed y'all, with 15 seconds left, Luka should have went all the way to the basket. Don't take a one leg step back fade away, because in that situation it's a low percentage shot. But obviously, you know that when there's good when your opponent is playing good defense on you, you have got to take any space that you can get, because the defender that was on Luka Doncic in that situation, he played the best defense that anybody could play in that situation on Luka Doncic. So that is the reason why that down the stretch the Lakers are lost. And Detroit Pistons, I keep on saying that the Detroit Pistons are a team that's, pretty much that has benefited from having a early season lead on everybody else. But what I am going to say is that next man up, because Cade Cunningham is possibly out for the foreseeable future. I don't think he is going to come back for the playoffs. So, but I still have the Detroit Pistons going further in the Eastern Conference playoffs than the Detroit Pistons. Now, I'm going to get into, one thing, since I'm right here talking about the Boston Celtics, I'm going to go ahead and say this. One thing that the Boston Celtics, they cross out every box that I'm going to mention. They have championship experience because they won a championship a couple years ago. They've made it to the playoffs the last 5 years. They know what it takes to win a playoff series. And the Detroit Pistons, this is the second time in the last 18 years that they've made it to, well, excuse me, third time in the last 18 years that they've made it to the playoffs. And they are not at full strength. So they are pretty much going to have to, everybody on that team is going to have to score by committee, because I don't think that there's a player on the team that is currently constructed with the Detroit Pistons. I don't believe that there's a player on their team right now that can take over a game and score 35 to 40 points. I don't believe Tobias Harris can do that, and I don't believe that Duncan Robinson, even though that he is a career three-point shooter, I don't believe that he can do that night after night in the playoffs. So tough sledding for the Detroit Pistons. That's how I see it. And for the Boston Celtics, this is probably the best chance for them to go on ahead and finish out the season on a 8-9 game winning streak, take over first place, and have home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference of the playoffs. That's what I see. So the next game I am going to cover is the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, Oklahoma City, one thing that they need to do is keep finding ways to win, because the San Antonio Spurs are on their heels. They are on their heels. As you can see right now, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they have a 3-game lead with 11 games remaining in the regular season. If the Thunder lose so much as just 2 games, that might be it for them as far as having home court advantage in the Western Conference, because we know that the San Antonio Spurs are surging. This is Victor Wembanyama's 3rd year, and pretty much when it comes to the San Antonio Spurs, they have a scorer by committee. We all know that Victor Wembanyama, he can go out there and average 35. He could average a triple-double, 35, 10, and 12. But one thing about the Spurs, they have a collective of players that can score 20 to 25 points each night. You don't know who is going to score 20 to 25 points each night when it comes to the San Antonio Spurs. That is one reason why you cannot just have a game plan for Victor Wembanyama. You can't. And as far as the Oklahoma City Thunder, you can't just have a game plan for SGA. Now, SGA is always the leading scorer for the Oklahoma City Thunder, as you can see right here with his statistics from last night. But you always have got to game plan for the bench. You also have to game plan for the X factors in the playoffs. Now, the X factors that I see for the Oklahoma City Thunder could be Jalen Williams and also Jared McCain. Now, I know that Jared McCain, he just got to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but last night, him scoring 13 points in 25 minutes, not bad. He had a plus 19, plus minus ratio, and we all know that the Oklahoma City Thunder, they haven't been what we expected for them to be throughout the entirety of the season, just basically tearing up the league, running through the league, and them having 65 to 70 wins at this point, and all we expected that. But the Oklahoma City Thunder, they have lost games uncharacteristically, they have. But that's nor here nor there because we are at the end. We are almost at the end of the regular season. And we got to start talking about, potential playoff matchups and play-in tournament matchups. But I will get into that after I get done with both of these game segments, and then I will talk about that. So for the Philadelphia 76ers, what can I say? Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid did not play. That is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia 76ers, they won't go anywhere. They won't, because Joel Embiid, he has not played an entire season ever in his career. Now, it pains me to say this, but he is the one big man in NBA history that has so much potential. But when it comes to his injury history, that deprived him of success. That's what Joel Embiid is, and that's what his career has been. Injuries have deprived him of success. And it's not just him, it's a whole lot more throughout NBA history where injuries have deprived big men of their success. Centers. We already know about Bill Walton, and we already know about other players. If you want to have a history lesson, look at the worst big man in NBA history, and you'll see my point. You'll see my point. But back to Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey, he is a great player. Obviously, he is starting to come into his own. He is the franchise player and not Joel Embiid. That's what I see. Because Joel Embiid, he's been in the league for 10 years and his career has just been like Six Flags. I'm going to say that. His career is Six Flags, America, up and down, or a river. His career is a river. It's been up and down. And he hasn't had any consistency or success when it comes to being on the court consistently. And as you see, as far as when it comes to these statistics last night, they were pretty much one-sided. Almost every statistic, the OKC Thunder, they were on the right side of every statistic last night. As you can see, free throw percentage, shooting from the floor, turnovers, fast break points. Well, fast break points, that was one category that they did not win by. Points in the paint, plus 12 for the Thunder. Also, largest lead of the game was 24 points for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the largest lead for the Philadelphia 76ers was 3 points. Now, I said that coming into the season, when it comes to the Philadelphia 76ers, I said that basically this is going to be, and this was pretty much, a blowout, but I'm going to give y'all a couple of highlights here and there. But back to what I was saying about the Philadelphia 76ers. Philadelphia 76ers are basically a team. You don't know what 76ers team is going to show up night after night. I mean, we expect for them to make the playoffs, but are they really going to make it tough on their opponent in the playoffs? Now, one thing that I can say is that right now, the Philadelphia 76ers, they are, I believe, 9th in the East right now. So they are currently in the play-in tournament. But they didn't start off in the play-in tournament. They started off the season, the 76ers started off the season being number 4, and now they have pretty much dropped to 7. Well, they increased to 7, because a few days ago, they were number 9. They were, but since they haven't been on a winning streak because they've lost 5 of their last 10 and won 5 of their last 10. So they are playing at about 500 ball, and they are pretty much at the 7th spot by accident, because we didn't expect Philadelphia to be this bad. No, we didn't. And when it comes to Joel Embiid, he's only played, I believe, 30 games this season. 30 games this season. The most games that Joel Embiid has ever played before is 52. 52 games in a season. And Philadelphia, I know in the future, they are gradually shifting away from Joel Embiid. Now it seems like every time I turn on a Philadelphia 76ers game, everybody's asking, when is Tyrese Maxey coming back? Because that is the future for them in the next 3 to 5 years. Joel Embiid had his time. He got the 76ers to a bunch, and I do mean 5 playoff appearances just within the last 10 years. But he was never able to get the team to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals. So the Joel Embiid era is going to be remembered for a bunch of hits and misses. A bunch of hits and misses, America. But he's not the only player that has done that. He's not the first, and he definitely won't be the last in NBA history or in sports history abroad. But that's all I got to say for Oklahoma City Thunder and the 76ers. The last game I'm going to cover before I start talking about potential playoff matchups is the San Antonio Spurs and Miami Heat. Now, both of these teams, Miami Heat, right now, are at the 9th spot. The San Antonio Spurs, they still have a chance to get the number 1 spot and have home court advantage throughout the entirety of the Western Conference playoffs. Now, one thing that I can say, what I saw last night is a blowout take place. It really was, because as you can see, Victor Wembanyama, he was very efficient last night. 26 points in 26 minutes. He scored a point almost every minute that he was on the floor. It doesn't get much better than that, America. It doesn't. And then you have De'Aaron Fox, 14 points in 29 minutes. Devin Vassell, 6 points in 21 minutes. Stephon Castle, 19 points in 23 minutes. Bench production. And here is all who played on the bench. I am going to get to the Miami Heat. So, Miami Heat, one of those teams that are always a diamond in the rough, that somehow always manages to make it to the playoffs, even when they have no business making the playoffs. They find some way to sneak into the back door and make the playoffs. Now, as of right now, when you see their scores, nobody, and I do mean nobody, last night, only one person cracked over 20 points. Everybody else was under 18 points. And when I see players stat lines like this, it makes me wonder, how did the Heat even crack 100 points? Was it their bench production, or was it had to be from somebody? Because obviously, only thing I see is when I see 3 scores on Miami that has 2 of them have 18 points and 1 of them have 21 points, and then it seems like you get decent contributions from this player, that player, and it seems like the last guy on the bench it seems like this game was never close. Even when it was close, it always had the type of feel where the Spurs were going to run away from this, and they did. They did run away with this because largest lead of this game was 30. Was 30 points, and largest lead for Miami was just a measly point. It was just 1 point. So when we look at the Miami Heat, we know that they have so many deficiencies that for them just to be in the play-in tournament is an accomplishment, because like I said, everybody expected for the Miami Heat to be in this situation, but as far as being a championship contender, nobody sees that. Nobody sees it. And it's basically what I said from last season, going into last season, that Miami is going to be one of those teams that is going to make it to the play-in tournament, possibly make it to the first round, and then get blown out or swept in the first round. And that's what I see. So, possible playoff matchups. Let's get in. Let's talk. Let's cover them. Possible playoff matchups. Play-in tournament matchups first. I'm going to get into the play-in tournament matchups first. For the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia 76ers and the Charlotte Hornets, 7 versus 10. And for the Orlando Magic Miami Heat, 8 versus 9. The winner of the 7 versus 10 matchup will be facing the Detroit Pistons in the first round. 8 and 9, Orlando Magic versus Miami Heat. The winner of the 8 and 9 matchup will be facing the Boston Celtics. Now, Miami has a history with the Boston Celtics. The Orlando Magic have a history with the Boston Celtics. Last season, Orlando lost to Boston. The season before that, Miami lost to Boston. So we really can't say that Boston, well, we can say that Boston have a slight advantage, but the Magic already know what the Celtics are good at, and the Heat already know what the Celtics are good at, and vice versa. So when it comes to the rounds of the later rounds of the playoffs in the first round, you know, we have Atlanta Hawks versus the New York Knicks, Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Toronto Raptors. And for the Western Conference, top of the Western Conference is still up in the air, America. So as of right now, the play-in tournament, Phoenix Suns versus Golden State Warriors. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the Suns-Warriors play-in tournament matchup will be facing the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'm just going to tell y'all something. I could see Oklahoma sweeping any of the two teams that I said, the Suns or the Warriors. And the 8 versus 9 matchup in the Western Conference, currently constructed, Los Angeles Clippers versus Portland Trail Blazers. The winner of that matchup would be facing the San Antonio Spurs. And I think that the Spurs would beat either one of these teams, the Clippers or the Blazers. The most I give it is 5 or 6 games. That's the most I give it, is 6 games. For the rest of the Western Conference, the 3 and 6 matchup right now, currently constructed, is Los Angeles Lakers versus the Houston Rockets. we expected the Houston Rockets, excuse me, we expected the Houston Rockets to be one of the top 4 teams in the Western Conference. But right now, they are 6. Do I think that that is a, I'm not going to say that it's a failure, but it is drastically different than what we thought, what we would see earlier on in the season. I mean, we expected the Western Conference to look like this, and I have this on my other board for the Western Conference Finals. I had for the Western Conference coming into the season. I had Oklahoma City 1. I had the Spurs as the 5th seed. I had the Houston Rockets at number 2. I had the Denver Nuggets at 3. I had the Los Angeles Lakers at 5, and the Phoenix Suns at 7. I had the Clippers at 10. Since they are the oldest team in the league, I had them at 10. And once how they started off the season at 6-21, I thought that the Clippers, I thought that they were left for dead. But they have fought their way back to a even record at 36-36, and they have a chance to make some noise in the playoffs. And will they do that? It remains to be seen, America. And with that, those are my reactions to the Monday night slate of NBA games. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the key on millions.co. Here is my media feed. Here is my profile so that you will know it's me. Here is my merchandise. We also have new merchandise. We just rolled out new merchandise within the last week and a half. So make sure you go get you a shirt, a hoodie, compression pants, and compression shirts. And remember, everybody, one last thing. Remember, the key is always on time.